Hi there, it's Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. So I was flipping through my first ever journaling Bible here, and I stumbled upon this page that I did about 2.5 years ago. And I was working on Psalms 30 verse 5, and I was looking at this page and I was like, wow, I really have improved so much since then. And while I still find this page beautiful, and back when I first created this page, it was one of my favorites, back when I first started Bible journaling. And I just thought it would be fun to recreate this page in my other Bible. I'm going to use my Interleaved Bible today and just see how far I've grown and come from that. And I think it's also a fun way to illustrate for you guys, even if you're a beginner or even if you're not a beginner, that you can really only improve with time and practice and effort. And I think it's also really telling because not only have I improved in my art in the past 2.5 years, almost 3 years, I also have improved in my faith. And so I'm gonna go ahead and illustrate that today using acrylics this time. I originally used watercolors, and while I love my watercolors, I'm gonna branch out and use acrylics. All right, let's get going. Alright, so first things first, I always put a piece of paper, just printer paper, under the page that I'm working on to protect the pages below it. And I'm going to go ahead and set up my palette. So I'm going to use Apple Barrel acrylic paints. These are just super cheap paints that you get at Walmart, or you can get them on Amazon as well. And I'll put links to all of the supplies that I'm using in the blog post goes along this video at scribblinggrace.com/landscape, and I'll put that link in the description below as well. So I'm using 3 colors of blue and 3 different shades of green, and I just need little tiny amounts of each of these. And then I'm also going to add a yellow and a pink, although I'm did not really use the pink, but you'll see in a second. And then I have a thicker body acrylic white. You could use the Apple Barrel white paint as well, which is more cost effective, but I wanted to have a little bit thicker of paint, and I knew I was going to mix pretty much all of my colors with the white, so it gives me a little bit thicker medium to work with. The Apple Barrel paints are very thin viscosity. So the white one that I used is also a pretty cheap paint, but it's a little bit thicker, so not that it's super important. All acrylic paints will work the same way. So I want to point out I'm using my ESV Interleaved Bible, so this one has the full blank pages on every other page. So it allows me a lot of space to work in. If you don't have a Bible like this and you want to do something similar, you could just paint this on a separate sheet of paper and then tip it into your Bible by just cutting it to size and taping or gluing it into your Bible. Super duper easy. Okay, so my whole method here, I'm really just kind of putting paint wherever I want. I'm blending each shade of my blue separately with white, so I'm diluting those colors down, making them nice and light. And then I'm just taking my brush and drawing kind of like swirls and squiggles and C shapes. I'm adding extra white in places. I'm really not focusing too much on where I'm putting it. I'm just kind of relaxing, having fun, just putting paint on my page. So I have some areas that are darker and some that are lighter. And then I went ahead and added some yellow to emulate my sunrise coming up. But I wanted this to be a much more muted scene than my original painting that I did. So I'm keeping it pretty simple and very light colors. And I decided to omit the pink part of the sunrise as well, but that probably would have looked pretty as well. So it's really, I feel like paintings like this are so fun to do because it's really like creating art. And so to make this black or gray color that I'm doing, I just blended green and a little bit of blue with some of that pink color, since green and pink together make kind of a browny black color. So then I added some white and it created a really pretty gray color. So that's what I'm using for my mountains. Adding extra white on the sides of my mountains to give a little highlight or shadow to that mountain, add a little extra dimension. these are things that you really just pick up as you're practicing, and that is the main point of this video today. It's not necessarily a tutorial as much as it is just showing you guys how you can improve and not to be too hard on yourself, especially when you're first beginning Bible journaling and you create a page that isn't as pretty as you want it to be. You can only improve. That's my main point here today. My dad actually has recently gotten into golfing this past year, and he loves golfing, but he's not the best at it. And but he has such a great attitude that he says that he's definitely not that good at golfing, but he can only get better and he can only improve, and he's putting in the work and time and effort to do so. And I think that that's the most important part, most important thing that I want to share with you. If you're Bible journaling and you don't think you're artistic enough, you can do it and you can have fun with it, and you just need to practice. Because I get asked this all the time, is people will tell me that they're jealous or that they can't do it, and I really believe that you can. It just takes some time and takes some effort. And I also, of course, want to highly stress that it doesn't matter your artistic skill with Bible journaling, because the main point of Bible journaling is really just to get in the Word and spend time with God and use art in whatever way that means to you. Maybe you do not want to even attempt to create any type of painting like I'm doing today, but just adding some notes into your Bible or some doodles. Whatever that art means to you is what's so important in Bible journaling. Bible journaling has no rules, and you really can do anything. It's just about spending time and growing your faith and your time in the Word. So now that I'm done with my little monologue here, you can see my painting. It really was pretty straightforward. I added some mountains and just triangles, and then I added some grass the same way that I did my sky. I just blotted on those colors in different areas so that I got different shades, the darker, the lighter green, the medium shade green. I added some white in there so I have a really light sections, and then I just added some grass by taking my flat brush and just swiping upward in vertical lines, and that creates a really pretty little grass effect. So I encourage you that if you want to try a landscape like this, try it. Just give it a shot and go for it. I feel like this kind of landscape where if you don't really have a plan and you just try to get the paint on the page, you can create some really beautiful things. That's the beauty of art, is that there's no rules to it, and you can always create something that's beautiful. No matter what, it's beautiful. It's art. Alright, so my page, it only took me about 15 minutes to create that painting aspect of the page, probably even less than that, and what took even longer was the lettering. So I'm writing out again my same phrase from before: weeping may stay in the night, but joy comes in the morning, and that's Psalms 30 verse 5. And I wanted to kind of do something similar to what I did originally, but use my new skills that I've learned over the years with lettering. So I'm doing brush pen calligraphy here with my Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen. This is the soft tip, and again, I'll put all of the links to all of the supplies that I'm using in that blog post at scribblinggrace.com/landscape. And you can see that I decided to emphasize on weeping and night, and joy I emphasized a lot, and then in the morning I also emphasized. So those, instead of doing cursive, I just did block type lettering. My joy I tried to make really big and thick so it stood out, because that's the main point. Weeping may stay in the night, but joy comes in the morning. So after I added my lettering, I decided that I wanted to tie in some of that pink from my original page, and where I have that big pink sunset. And so I decided to use a Uniball Signo gel pen in pink and add some highlight to my cursive letters. And then I go ahead and add some white with another Uniball Signo gel pen in white and add little details on my non-cursive lettering and all the block lettering and things like that. So it ended up being pretty, I think, and I'm really happy with how the page turned out. It was a really wonderful time to spend in the Word, creating art for God. And so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Remember, you can find all of the supplies, and I'll put links to all of my tutorials on lettering as well, because those are some of my most requested tutorials on how to do the same lettering that I did in this page. And those links will all be in that blog post, scribblinggrace.com/landscape. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.